Alrighty everyone, welcome back to Sumeru. We are now in version 3.6, and what stands before you, which is this gigantic heavenly looking hole, is your new weekly boss. You're going to need these materials for Kaveh, Baizu, and probably even like early Fontaine characters, but early tip, this boss is not immune to anything. You can use any character that you like. I'm bringing free-to-play characters, so the Traveler, Amber, Noelle, and Kale. You can bring whoever the hell you want. You can bring Diluc, Ito, Aito, Yoimiya, Zhongli. Hey man, go wild. And I'm also going to be using free-to-play weapons as well. Festering Desire on Traveler, feel free to use Fillet Blade or whatever you want, or if you're even using Traveler at all. Slingshot on Amber, and don't worry about the artifacts, even if they're 5 stars. I'm mostly just making sure that I can bait the boss and not make like a 30-minute video. So Noelle here has the White Blind, and I have a very old artifact set on her, the Gladiator's Finale. It's just a random mishmash. And Kale here is using a Favonius Warbow, along with the artifact set of Deepwood, which is her best in slot, I do believe. Anyway, that's about it. Let's just start the fight. Alright, we're in here. We're in a very polluted greenhouse. And this is a good time for you to check up on your gear, make sure that you loaded in with the proper stuff, and also don't forget that, you know, this is just an overworld boss in essence. In its title domain at least, you can eat food. So if you don't want to waste time or you feel like you're a little bit underpowered, feel free to eat food. It's there for a reason. So I'm going to eat myself some Jade Parcels. I'm also going to give myself a little bit more Geo damage because Noelle and Traveler are going to be the main DPS for me in this particular fight. But you can do whatever the hell you want. So let's begin. Alright, so he's going to come out of the ground here, stomp the floor kind of far on me, and he's going to immediately charge at me like this. You can do a little bit of damage, but you might want to get away from them unless if you know how to dodge. This is just something that, you know, makes it easier for you. But after that, you want to bait out this long, like, range attack where he summons these spikes to, like, smash you a few times. But otherwise, it lasts for, like, maybe 10 seconds. Decent amount of time for you to do some damage, but I hope you don't actually have something like that where it doesn't do damage over time. You can see here, this one move where he summons a bunch of particles is the most annoying, because these things, they hurt a lot. You can see that they also have insane tracking. Do you see that stuff? Like, Noelle just tanked that stuff because it just decided to do a little 180. So be aware that you might want to bring a shielder for that particular move, or, if anything, you can also use Geo Traveler's structure to block them, which I'll show you in a little bit. But otherwise, that's literally all the moves in the first phase of this fight, other than him swiping when you get too close like this. He can attack up to 4 times, so I just suggest staying away from him. But otherwise, I think this is literally just it. So as long as you stay at reasonable distance, you should be fine. But take a look at this. I can use the Geo structure to just kind of wait for them to hit it, and I don't have to take any damage. So Lumine here didn't suffer any brain damage, but I sure did when trying to make this guide. Anywho, let's speed up the process a little bit. But yeah, luckily there isn't a ton of like moves, unlike say Raiden's boss fight, which is insane. I still can't believe that I managed to get a guy out of that. But yeah, it's rather simple to understand once you fight it about 2 to 3 times, because there aren't really that many surprises unless if you go out of your way to get screwed. You see there I got a little bit nipped, so don't try to run through those. Otherwise, we're good. Alright, on to phase 2. Alright, so it's going to drop its boogers on the floor over here, and it's going to summon a bunch of this. So you want to get rid of these guys as fast as possible, because once they reach the proximity of this particular thing, it's going to actually sap away at your progress. Also, this Clam thing, don't let it eat one of these, because when it does, it becomes big, and it comes after you like a freaking car in traffic. So get rid of it fast. It will show up again after a little bit because they do spawn in waves, and it's like a random chance of which boss little thing you get. So just letting you know ahead of time that it's probably best that you get rid of these guys as fast as possible. Now this little like Junkrat looking thing, it's actually not, I think it just kind of sits there and explodes, so you don't have to worry about that. But this is just waves and waves of different types of enemies. If you have everything, just go ham. It shouldn't be a problem. But let's watch it eat another thing right here. You see this? It's going to come after me. It's going to do a ton of damage to me. Amber's going to tank this pretty bad. Yeah, not good. So be careful when you fight that thing, because it is not fun to fight. So if you get that like seashell clam looking thing, you're in for a bad time. It has plagued us Amber mains when trying to do this fight hitless. Alright, here we are. This thing just kind of summons little dendro walls. It doesn't really do much other than try to charge at you with like a little lunge, so it's easily killable. I would say that's like arguably the less harmful one, I guess, out of all the rotations. And there's also more enemies with like shielding and stuff, which I will demonstrate here. So this big spike looking one is actually a sort of enemy shielder. So in order to gain access to the enemies, you're going to have to destroy it. And if you get the smaller one, it works in reverse. You have to attack its minions that it's like connected to in order to kill it. But yeah, otherwise, here we are, and we're moving on to Phase 3. Phase 3 is all about memorizing the pattern of its attacks because it will not deviate at all unless if you try to like go up against it, which kind of like the first phase. But the only thing you need to pay attention to for this particular part of the fight is literally where you are in the arena, because there is a area-wide nuke that will go off if you're not careful, and it may kill you, so pay attention. So you might see on the floor right now, as you're trying to dodge the enemy, you can see the little two dots on the floor here. And if you stand like right in front of it, like right here, you should be safe from the incoming nuclear bomb that's coming after you. So you see this little thing? It drops a little pod on you. And if you happen to be caught outside of these, you'll take damage over time. And if you don't make it in, well, you blow up. Bruh, what the fuck? And after this, it will actually attack in a certain pattern. So this, it will do 3 times. And yes, you can actually dodge in them, like what I just did right there, but I don't recommend it because, well, it's kind of pointless. Unless if you're trying to do some extra damage or something. But anyway, after 3 of those attacks, it will swirl like this, and then create this beautiful lanyard looking thing, and it will summon these spikes that will, potentially gape you. But after that, it will do the 3 moves again, and repeat the same process. So it's very easily readable. So you can see here, here's what happens when I don't double dash very quickly, and I find myself in a bad spot. I'll actually get hit. So be aware when you have to go through those attacks. But after that, and you can see it comes out of the floor around in the middle of the arena here, it just means that it's going to do the whole nuke phase again. And yet again, I have placed myself in this particular spot because it is 100% guaranteed that a shield will spawn here, and I'm just going to repeat the process. That's literally the entire 3rd phase. But, here's what happens if I don't properly fight. So I'm going to see if I can get hit. I'm going to just kind of get swiped a few times. Lumine's probably going to take a few pieces of damage. So I'm going to stay a little bit here. I'm going to be stagnant and try to run inward and fail. Get hit. It's going to swipe me again. So you can easily lose a ton of HP if you're not careful with this particular phase, so just be aware of that. But here we are, we're just going to finish off the rest of the fight, and the only thing I really need to pay attention to is when it does that, and sometimes the attacks overlap, so you might get double hit. But here we are, I'm going to use Noelle as a sacrificial lamb to show you what happens when you don't, pay attention. Yeah, she literally tanked like 1/3 of her health, and she is a character that's built on defense, so they shouldn't be getting hit. But yeah, so that just shows you how easily your damage can stack up if you're not careful. And it's not the damage that you want; it's damage that you want to avoid. But yeah, that's literally everything. I'm just gonna have Amber here make a little coup de grace. Boom, and that's about it. So like I said, this boss fight is actually not that hard to understand, it's just kind of hard to master. And something that's cool about this particular boss fight is that Hoyo actually balanced the 3rd phase and make it have a little bit less HP, so you'll have an easier time fighting it because this fight is just rinse and repeat. Here's how the fight will look if you have a stacked party, and yeah, until then, have a very nice day. Good luck.
赤令令赤嘿，暴影看破，嘿，无念断绝，哼，呀，嘿，哈，令令赤。
风共鱼行，
骤进，赤，令令，雷霆刹技，赤，骤进，哼，
往返自然，
手牵手，无处遁逃，
朔风解翼，可叹落叶飘零。
令令，赤，令令。 慢点吧。
该出发了，往返自然。
真瞳显现，流行，骤进，令令，嘿。微光无射，
来我家做客吧！呀，全都看见了。
无处遁逃。赤，骤进，赤。
起，风共鱼行。
骤进，赤，
朔风解翼，这，他，